Okay, so in Tier 1, here are the characteristics that you're getting quality, research-based instruction from a highly qualified teacher. Tends to be whole group. You've got your 90-minute literacy block, just as you folks do, and whole group. But then the beauty about this is flexible skill grouping. Suppose I'm a youngster who, remember we showed that chart, and I was in we didn't have any kids who were in the yellow on that chart. But suppose I was in the yellow. I might be more appropriately grouped with kids who are in the pink. We have similar difficulties, and I'm getting some differentiated instruction from the teacher. But as soon as I have evidence that I've mastered that skill that we were working on, these are flexible. I'm not doomed to that group. I might change groups, and I might not be working with those groups. So what happens is kids moving in and out of the group depending on their performance on the assessments that we're doing. The time in that is just your entire school year, unless something goes awry and the data suggests that you're not making the gains that we would hope, and in which case you move to a different tier after going through your team process. Okay. And with these kids, how many times is the quiz? How many times a year are these kids being assessed minimally?
3.
There we go. We get out early today because of that good response. 3. That's right. Everybody, even if you're doing great, you're getting it 3 times a year because even greatness needs to be affirmed that you're great. And the person, the interventionist, as I call it, is the classroom teacher. This person is calling the shots. Okay. This is a typical what might happen. This is actually the data from I was visiting a school in Rhode Island, and the youngster didn't do well on the kindergarten literacy measures. And the teacher contacted mom and indicated that she wanted to put her in a small group to practice some phonemic awareness skills and all that. And mom, who is a professor, who turned out to be a professor of special education at the University of Rhode Island, said, "Thank you, but no thank you." She said that little Mary, this was actually a girl, I have a boy's name, but little Mary hasn't been exposed. I found this hard to believe, but this is an education professor. Little Mary really hasn't been exposed to that much literature. She's been enrolled in an ecological daycare. So what they did was they would roam the beach in Rhode Island and pick up seashells, and they're all gained in. So she was getting all this stuff, but nothing was happening with literacy. And she said, "I think that she'll just do fine." And mom was right. So what happened? So she said she declined it, but she just participated in what was happening within the school, and that's exactly what happened. Within a month, this youngster was where the rest of the kids were. And I tell this story because this is common for many of the kids that we run into, is kids have different experiential opportunities prior to particularly coming to kindergarten. And early on, when you do your first screening, you're going to be overwhelmed by the number of kids who appear to be at risk. It's going to be very high. So what schools are doing is, let's take a deep breath. We've got the screening. Let's not lose sight of these kids, but let's expose them to instruction first. And then what they're doing is checking in on those kids a month later. And what do you think happens to the risk pool just within a month? It goes way down. This also affects those kids who had fairly good literacy skills, but because they're not practicing over the summer, they come back, they don't do well when they first get to school. So now they've been in school for a month and things look a little better. So rather than getting all upset about what's happening, they let the Tier 1 intervention take its course. And the point being that Tier 1 interventions are very powerful. Tier 1 interventions is good teaching. Let the teachers teach. And that's what teachers who are doing this is becoming their mantra. When people ask them, well, how did you turn that around? I'm going to show you some data about a significant problem one of the schools had. And when I asked them in their group, when they had a faculty meeting, they in unison just said, we just taught. We didn't do anything special. We just didn't realize we weren't teaching this. When we taught it, we got the result.